Okay, gardening, as some things I looked up, it's a life lesson. Probably anyone knows what. If you're ever wounded in body, mind, or spirit, you're often drawn to the natural world as a place to heal. For some people, it's a walk in the woods. For some others, it's a walk along the shore. For many of us, though, our garden is a place of healing. And in a world that encourages to put on a strong face, your garden is a refreshingly honest place. Because you can be yourself. Plants are totally honest with you. A plant will tell you when it's not getting enough sun or water very quickly, or when you've planted it in the wrong soil, and basically you don't know what you're doing. And part of yourself is being free to feel what you feel, and you can always do that in a garden. And you can slow down. This, especially before I retired as junior high school counselor, that's what I did when I came home. I went down to the garden or went for a walk in the woods. And when you enter your garden, time just tends to slow down. Your mind and your body relax, you focus on the task at hand, and there's a gentleness in gardening. It's also, this very true today, is an escape from news, the violence in the world, and a break from constantly doing things. And gardening can be the ultimate character builder. Patience, it's a long-term investment. You've got to just really, watch what you're doing. Diligence, it takes consistent effort. And selflessness, finding joy in contributing to something that can benefit someone else. Anything from the vegetables you share, the things you can and give to friends and family. Gardening is a multidisciplinary skill. First, it encourages experimentation. You learn everything from botany to soil science and to meteorology. It encourages natural inquisitiveness. Like, why the heck did that not work? I've got to figure this out. And you can see your cause and effect in action. Gardening and cooking, which is one of my favorite parts of it, involvement in growing and preparing your food from the garden, teaching creativity and adding variety to your meals, and this is my favorite part. Harvesting and enjoying it in a meal is a long-term reward. But your health benefits, you're raising your own food, and you know how it was raised, you know what you put on it, and the soil that it was in. And the workouts provided by planting, tending, and harvesting a garden are endless. A garden is like a true friend. You can visit your garden anytime. The garden can be a source of solace and comfort. When you can escape the stresses of everyday life, it's always accessible. It's available. It's a place to find peace, tranquility, and very much a sense of accomplishment. Now, I had to look this up before I did this little bit of research. Gardening is a microcosm, and that is defined as a little world. Human nature sees that as the epitome of the world or the universe in just a very small area. So there are simple, dramatic gardens like those in the Japanese culture, the bountiful chaos of an English country garden, French royal gardens like you'd see in Versailles with symmetrical arrangements of elements, very formal, and a community garden everywhere as a reflection where people meet and build friendships. And this is just an example of a Japanese style garden, an English style garden, the French style garden, and you see how formal it has been arranged. And then the community garden where everybody just comes and pitches in and helps. Hi, y'all. Oh, I forgot that part. Keep going. You can read that
If you want to be happy for a lifetime, be a gardener. Gardening as a teacher. I just wanted us to be reminded that God Almighty first planted a garden. This was Sir Francis Bacon, an English philosopher centuries ago, said God Almighty first planted a garden, and indeed it is the purest of human pleasures. So let's be reminded with this garden, and Leisa said so many beautiful things about what it's like for us, and I think all of us are agreeing with her with all these things she was talking about. It all began in the garden. So in the Bible, in Genesis, the book of our beginning, God planted a garden, and He placed the first humans there to do what? To tend it and care for it. So many lessons can be learned in a garden. Y'all agree with that? Y'all learned a lot. The hard way, right? The hard way. So many lessons can be learned in a garden. God placed the miracle of life in the seed-bearing plants. It's pretty amazing that life comes, and more food and flowers all come from that tiny little seed. So we continue watching and benefiting from planting those seeds today. Some of many lessons that are learned. A good work ethic. We learn a good work ethic because we acquire that as we tend that garden. And I say that tend that garden, and I think of our nutgrass. How many of y'all struggle with the weeds and the nutgrass and stuff in your gardens? Okay. It's a thorn in our side, right? So we get a good work ethic as we tend the garden, and we reap future benefits. Benefits such as I'll keep alluding to Leisa because she has so many good points in hers. Benefits like providing our own healthy food for sustenance throughout the year. And also the benefit of enjoying the peaceful beauty of the beautiful flowers and the trees in our garden are rewards for all that hard work ethic that we have. So another lesson that we learn, and there's so many, but each one of us are mentioning some. So perseverance. We hang in there, don't we? We soon discover over the years that becoming a good gardener is to learn from our what? Well, that didn't work. What'll work? Okay, so we must not be afraid to fail, and we should never give up. When I teach the rose class, if any of you have been in the rose class, what do I always say? When that first little rose dies, don't give up and say I can't grow roses. Get another rose. We must not be afraid to fail, and we should never give up. Persevere. Keep on keeping on. Optimism. I think you have to be optimistic to be a gardener, don't you? You have to be optimistic. Gardening teaches us optimism and hope. The failures of last year have faded. They're fading away right now. Come spring, what happens to us when spring and everything starts greening up? You remembering those failures? No. You're all excited. You're all excited about it. It's spring and new life and new growth. And what can I do right this time? Okay. So the failures of last year have faded as we dream with great anticipation of a better garden this year. This is a couple of pictures of my sweet husband is a farmer. Everybody that's a master gardener with him knows that's his. I'm flowers and bees and butterflies, roses. But he is a true vegetable farmer, and this is the pictures he was getting it all started, and this is in more full growth. And I can just say we've been married. December will be 60 years, and for 60 years we have never not had. Thank you. We have never not had a garden, and we've lived in Houston. But we had a garden in our backyard, always. And we would make sure we got a yard that was a bigger yard in the back. And so he has always had to have his hands in the dirt and grow food. And my contribution has been canning and putting up. So as Leisa was alluding to, all the sharing with our friends, feeding our families, things that we can gain from planting that vegetable garden. How many of y'all in here plant vegetable gardens? And I know some of you are big canners, and I know like Kathy does all kinds of things. So a lot of you can, you freeze, you put, and then so for all these 60 years, we fed our family from the freezer or from the cabin, from canning and freezing food, and all his hard work. I figured if he's going to do that kind of hard work, I'm going to be diligent to do my part. But all the lessons learned, and the times the peas it didn't work this year. Let's move the peas over here. Well, let's change this kind of peas. Let's, learning from failure. But that's just a couple of pictures of vegetable gardening.
If you didn't fail sometimes, Cheryl, you wouldn't have no excitement the next year.
That's right. That's
When you
right.
need it.
That's right. So gardening as pleasure and as something luxurious.
It feels so good to pick those flowers and bring them in the house and put them on the counter and look at them for 3 or 4 days.
You just answered my question right here. What about gardening makes you happy? You. What about gardening makes you happy? So Kathy says it feels so great to pick those flowers and bring them in. I put them in the kitchen where you can look at them and smell the fragrance. Somebody else, what about gardening makes you happy?
I like it when you plant that seed and then you just watch it pop.
That
That's-
light coming forth from that seed, that little seed.
That is my most favorite one.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I think for me, it's sharing the product, the vegetables,
Yeah.
whatever you're getting in the end.
So all kind of lessons and joys that we have with that as far as sharing and giving and being able to share what we have been able to, food. I mean, I know that I try to always have, anybody that visits my house is going to leave with a jar of jelly. I cannot ever be without. We don't eat that much jelly, my husband and I, but it's a teaspoon here and there. But it's such a wonderful feeling to be able to put something like that you made in somebody's hand. It's homemade, But fresh vegetables and salsas and all those things. So, but that's mine. The feel of the dirt in my hands, the smell of the earth, the fragrances of blooming things, seeing butterflies and bees flitting about, and a couple of beautiful cats laying in amongst the flowers, y'all. I had to throw that in. All these things bring me happiness and relaxation when I go in mine. And I do have a lot of big stones like we've taken from the hill country, just because. And I'm an animal person. I'm not a cat person. I've got 6, but they're all they're all outside, gardening, laying around outside. Cats. I don't have cats inside, but I like to see my animals out cavorting among the flowers and laying on those stones and things like that. So,
Root crops too, when you grow root crops, it's like opening a Christmas gift because you don't know what you're going to
you don't know what you're going to get.
there. And it's like always.
This sounds like a movie. It's like a box of chocolates. You don't know what I know. I think of Charlene and her herbs and all the things that she cooks and prepares, because I know she does a lot of canning and things, and has so many of us do those kind of things. And anybody else? What about gardening just makes you happy?
Okay. You'd like to see your husband out there.
You're like me. I like to see my husband out there working in that garden, but I won't do my part.
So when it actually grows, that makes you happy.
Yeah, when it actually thriving. Somebody else?
I was just gonna say, so y'all behind the house, if the garden fits the land,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
gotta have enough room.
Our first little home, our first little one 60 years ago when we bought it, it was on bio, so it had the biggest backyard and it had an easement on the bio, so that was, we already had to have, he has to have his hands in dirt, so.
What makes me happy now? I grew up watching gardens grow, my parents, my grandparents. And now my children, the last 2 or 3 years, have become infatuated with growing something.
And don't you love
Flowers, vegetables, whatever. And it makes me feel so good when they pick that phone up and they say, Mom, what is this? Or how to fix that? Or how to grow this?
I'm glad
It
you
makes your
said that.
soul feel good
Because
when
all
your
three,
children
yeah.
go behind you and care
All three of my adult children are doing that very thing. They're all very into flowers and gardens and telling, what is this and what can I put here? And you know, and I love it. It makes you feel so
Yeah,
good.
little
And,
grandchildren too.
yeah. So, Kim, you were going to say something?
Yeah, it's to me, when I go out to, well, y'all don't even know, but anyway, when I go out there, I leave my phone in the house. I don't bring anybody with me. I mean, that is
Yeah,
my,
yeah.
I shut,
Getting away from the ringing phone, that's one thing.
because
Yes.
I mean, my life is, y'all know me, I'm just, and when I go out there, just, you know, that's my time.
Yeah. And you mentioned, Lisa, about after retiring, that was just your place, just to get out and just be able to switch off. A place of silence and peace. And I think all of us enjoy it for that. Kind of like you get out, for some it's in the vegetable garden, for me it's in the flower garden. But it's like the world out there and all the drama and the violence and the chaos that's going on around us and all the time. It's the world just fades away. It's just such a beautiful place to be. So, okay. As something luxurious, a garden is like our own private place where we can escape the cares of the day and just focus on the beauty of nature all around. Often, I find this to be true, I bet some of you do too, it's our big splurge. It's always having to add a few more shrubs or blooming things. I've just heard them talking about it over here, that bring us joy. Gotta have that. Tell us what you just said about going to Bobo's.
Bradley.
What?
I didn't say anything. Did I?
Susan, tell us what you just said about going to Bobo's.
What?
You bought every,
Oh, yeah.
every time I talk to you,
They always
you're,
going, yeah, and my husband always says, you need to stay away from that place. I know, I'll go when I want to.
she's always
They
saying,
have enough
how many of
flowers.
y'all, that's your big splurge, especially in the spring. Do you find it in the spring,
Oh,
you gotta go, you're hungering for the green growing things and blooming things, right?
Yeah, but I like it now too,
Well,
because,
yeah.
you know, you got some beautiful flowers you can plant.
Well, that's
that
true.
last, so,
That's true, perennials that can go through the winter.
yeah.
Yeah, but get them in early enough to get the roots down.
Yeah.
So, gardening as creative exploration. Are y'all real creative with your gardens?
Actually, Cheryl, I have real love for the vegetables and the flowers, and I'm also a quilter.
Yeah.
I've been recently inspired by what they're calling thread art. So I'm going to explore that avenue with
The
flowers.
quilt with flowers.
With
Woo,
flowers.
boy, that sounds.
I mean, some of the stuff is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to take pictures, some of the pictures of flowers that I've grown, and I'm going to recreate them on cloth.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, gardening can be many things. It can be recreation, healthy time spent outdoors and a time of contemplation, away from your daily concerns. We've kind of hit on, I think everybody hits that with the same thought. Creating an environment of all these healthy benefits, such as food, beautiful flowers, a healthy outlook, a sanctuary. That's a good word for it. It's a sanctuary, it's a retreat, and a sense of peace are what makes gardening a creative experience rather than a chore, not just work. When we go out to battle those weeds again, it's because we know the finished product is going to be so beautiful and a place of beauty and sanctuary. So we keep on at it. Here are some creative tips for your creative gardening. Number one, plant feel-good plants. Example, those with a positive impact. Plant for color, as in what? Roses and perennials. Annuals are good. I always kind of, in the springtime, I love perennials. Of course, everybody knows I love roses, but I love perennials. But in the spring, I'll waste my money on some annuals for those pops of color, even if it's just for the summer. That's some of my big splurges. Teddy will say, well, don't they die in winter? Well, I don't care. If they're not that high and I need them. So feel-good plants for color, plant for fragrance. We've got some fragrance here. Did all of y'all get your little sachet with the lavender or the cedar? So plant for fragrance. Plant like lavender, jasmine, rosemary, sweet olive. Any of y'all have those in your gardens? Any of those?
Lots of rosemary.
Lots of rosemary.
Lavender, rosemary.
Lavender, rosemary. Anybody got a sweet olive?
I had a Russian olive, but it
No,
died.
sweet olive doesn't have an olive on it, but sweet olive has a little tiny, it's a shrub and it'll make a small understory tree. I have let mine go to trees. And they have little tiny white blooms, little tiny, but the fragrance, and they bloom like start in November through about February, through the winter. The fragrance will knock your socks off.
Where do you get one?
Do y'all have them?
I think it's about.
Okay, sweet olive, write that down, sweet olive. It's wonderful just for its fragrance, and it's at a different time of year than the others are.
And stock right now is a good thing to plant for that fragrance. It carries in the air.
Okay.
What is that?
Stock.
The flower stock.
And do they bloom well here?
Oh, yeah, it does good all through the winter.
Okay.
Until it gets hot.
Okay, so, and also, as you're doing that, and as I was talking with the annuals, and some of them are perennials, but plant something that will bloom through the winter, and you'll have color in the winter, and then some that's hot summer stuff, but things like pansies, violets, but what's that other one that's?
Snapdragons.
Say that again?
Snapdragons.
Yeah, those, but that one that can live,
Johnny jump ups.
yeah, I can't call the name of this other one tonight. But anyhow, yeah, all of those, pansies, snapdragons, and I guess stock. Do hollyhocks grow here?
No.
I grew up as a kid, I guess that was visiting out of state, but I loved them. Okay.
What was it, Cheryl?
Hollyhocks. Always in my mind, I think stocks, I think hollyhocks.
Stock looks like,
I know they don't look alike, but I just somehow know them. Okay, so fragrance. So color, fragrance, and then plant for texture. And amongst all that, have your ferns, your grasses, hostas, shrubbery, and have your texture in your garden as well. So number 2, make a wildlife sanctuary for birds, butterflies, hummingbirds. A lot of y'all do that, I know. A lot of y'all have your butterfly gardens or feed the hummingbirds. Yeah. Well, I'm just going to throw this out. Y'all have all heard me talking before, and some of you, about the upatorium that we found at Antique Rose Garden. Anybody ever get one? Is yours blooming? Okay. I got,
They just now started to bloom.
okay. The ones at the Rose Garden are blooming, and mine are blooming at home, and it's a butterfly magnet. I mean, we had to shake the swallowtails off of them when we put them in our car to buy them on the potted plant. But they're also a white mist flower, white mist flower, but it's a particular one, so it's upatorium, Eupatorium. So EU. So you know that's the right one, because I think there's several.
Hey, Cheryl, we got 2 when y'all.
Yeah, are yours blooming?
Not only are they blooming, the growth that has occurred is tripled.
Yeah, and they spread, and they'll get as big as a hedge. Mine, as yet, have not gone up. They're going this way.
They are.
But I'm assuming, so they had hedges on them.
Cheryl, my lantana bush is just full of butterflies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They love
Mine are
lantana.
small, yeah.
They love lantana.
Yes.
First cat is still living.
Say that again, Tarsi?
First cat is still
Yeah.
living.
Yeah, my pink turtle cap is huge.
My zinnias are attracting butterflies
Yeah.
like crazy.
Listen to all y'all, everybody's got all this color going. Because when we had that freeze just recently, we had that freeze, and I told TJ, I said, let's go around, let's just gaze. Let's gaze at everything that's blooming and our green grass, because it's gone tomorrow. But this wasn't all
No,
gone.
it didn't. Even my Confederate roses was just a start blooming. I thought it was gonna get them, but it didn't.
Okay, well, let me finish up, because Kim's got lots for you. Okay, so, all right, creative tips. Plant your feel-good plants, make a wildlife sanctuary for your critters and those pretty cats laying in amongst them, okay? If you don't have one, get you a pretty cat. You don't have to have it in the house. Make sure it's pretty color. Looks pretty on the stone, on a rock. Add a pergola, or a pergola, add a pergola, or a bench, somewhere to sit in your garden, okay? And perhaps a water feature or a decorative garden stones and statuary, some whimsical statuary. We all love that, as I've just heard y'all talking about that over there too, so, all right. I threw this in, I tried to get a picture of the rose garden that I had in my phone. I could not get it to go in, so I just threw this in. Now, isn't that beautiful? That's almost as beautiful as those gardens that she was showing a while ago. But, that's just a picture of a beautiful, and I know it has to be an English garden. It's an English garden because of the lovely color and just the beauty of it. Okay, so garden with abandon. Garden with abandon. Garden as though you're going to live forever. Go ahead and plant that oak tree when you're 75. I'm 76. Those are questions. When you get really old, you think about those things. Well, I'm not going to, plant an oak. How long does an oak take to grow? So, go ahead and plant that oak tree. Enjoy it as long as you can and leave a legacy of natural beauty for the next generation. Plant whatever makes you happy. Remember, it's your garden. You can plant whatever you want. Remember that many things grow in a garden that were never sown there. Now don't go on with weeds. We're not talking about the weeds. We're talking about other good stuff that grows in there. So, y'all agree with that? Many things grow in a garden that were never sown there. Enjoy the spontaneity of the little things. Often the most beautiful things in life are sandwiched between a rock and a hard place. A rock and a hard place. Y'all have all heard that saying, right? Lovely volunteer plants can struggle up between rocks and in cracks, forcing their way up where you least expect them. Thanks to the wind, the birds, and the bees, enjoy them as the gift that they are, much like us, stronger because of the struggle. Now that is a picture of my little cottage garden chaos. At the end of the summer, when a lot of the things are not blooming, but you see there's a cat there. We don't have the front of the cat, but we have a cat. But I threw this in even though I'm sad because I just snapped it. My roses, there's several roses amongst it, and they're beautiful all summer, but they don't have blooms on them right now. There's a big pot over that way with a big old rose bush. But you see this huge red salvia?
Yeah.
You see that huge red salvia in front of my gate over at my pool gate? They just volunteered there. Oh yeah, yeah. And I have planted those some year in my past, and they come up all over, and then I decide who I'm going to leave and who I'm not. Y'all do that?
Yeah.
Well, tell me some of the things y'all have volunteered. Volunteer things that pop up. Salvias is a big one. Periwinkles. Periwinkles. You see the whites down here? Y'all see the whites down here? They're all volunteers.
Yeah.
I have periwinkles all over, and that's a rock, that's cool rock there. And they come up between those rocks, and they used to be purple when I first lived there, they were purple, but they naturalized to white. So then you get to where you have all white periwinkles over. And so I have lots of white volunteer, and so we'll pull out all the rest and leave us a border pair. So just kind of I did this to show these that came up between a rock and a hard place that volunteered, and it brought me great joy. Yes, ma'am.
Come out, what come up on, I have cypress vine and the periwinkle that come up.
Okay.
Potatoes.
Say that again?
Potatoes.
Tomatoes volunteer. Oh, well, that worked. That's good. Somebody else. Charlene, I know you've got something to volunteer.
Celosia, I have that comes back, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have some of those that I had in a big pot with some other things, and then they ended up in by my sidewalk going down the front, beautiful.
I have red lettuce,
Say?
volunteer,
Red.
romaine lettuce.
Edibles.
It's seeded, and I guess the seeds blew into another part of the garden.
That's what happens.
It
And
volunteers.
the butterflies and the bees, they just take them all around and
It gives you a sense of excitement when you see something there.
Hey,
I have volunteer. I have a big redbud tree and an oak tree that volunteered. They're now trees. And you have those, and generally they're in your way, and you kind of get them out from under the trees and stuff. And I've left them, and I have a couple that are now big trees. Volunteer. Yes.
I got a funny story. At Bobo's, we had all these rows of Sharon, beautiful rows of Sharon. All of a sudden, all these sycamore trees start growing in them. And Ginger's just like, leave them, just leave them. I'm like, okay. And so this guy walks up and he said, I need a tree. I need lots of trees. I'm like, 6 trees that are going to grow really fast. I'm like, let me show you something, boy. So we go over. I said, I can sell you the rows of Sharon, and then
Okay.
you can have the
Look
tree.
at that marketing strategy.
So
That's what Bobo's pays you.
Yeah, it was amazing. I don't know how they all got there, but they were in so many, like 2 dozen. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But they grow fast.
Well, that's mine, and I'll finish up with that, and now we'll turn to Kim Lacey.
There you go. I can't follow up very well with that, but okay.
Thank y'all for your
Thank Okay. Mine's a little different, because I'm a chaotic person, you'll know that, okay? So,
Well, that's how that garden is. It's very chaotic. Very
and I'll try
chaotic.
not to talk really fast like I usually do. But this is something like when don't bring that in the house. Don't touch that. Wash your hands. You're dirty. It's filthy. This is what we heard as kids sometimes. This is what we're telling our kids nowadays. We as parents and grandparents tend to overprotect. I do it. I know I do it. And I know when I was a kid, we were dirty. I mean, they just turned us loose outside. It wasn't even funny. But we need to let our kids now be more. Our kids are so sick now.
Let them get in the dirt.
Let them be kids.
Yeah.
Let them climb a tree. Let them play with the lizard. Let them play with the frog. Let them, get dirty. I mean, my daughter, I'm so proud of her because she was kind of in a sterile environment. But her little boy is a little boy. He plays in the dirt. But let them be creative. Let them make mud pies. I made mud pies. Y'all are going to gross out when I tell you this. We used to make mud pies to make them look like meatloaf. And I would take acorns and crack them and put them on top. And I garnished them with poison ivy. Yes, I lived. I lived. I didn't eat it, but that's what we used to do. That was being so creative. We would go find stuff and do stuff like
That
that.
sounds like, did you grow up to be a good cook?
I can cook.
Okay,
That's
there
one
you
thing
go.
I can do.
Okay, you were
My
practicing.
husband kept me because I can cook.
You were
So-
practicing. Okay.
Okay. Here's a dirty little secret. Dirt and germs can actually be good for kids. Some researchers say playing outside in the dirt and even ingesting a little bit of it along the way helps children build stronger immune systems. Like I said earlier, our kids are sick these days. Children who don't spend time outside run the risk of serious health issues, not only mental issues, but obesity being front and foremost. That's the cutest picture ever. Unfortunately, kids today spend the better part of their time indoors in the sterile company of technology, on their phones, computers, video games, tablets, you know the story, and I'm guilty of it. My grandson's on his video games right now, I promise you. These devices have become babysitters for our children. U.S. top consumer of ADHD medication in the world. 7.6 million U.S. children diagnosed as vitamin D deficient. 2004, use of antidepressants in pediatric patients rose sharply. This year, 1 in 4 children report depression and 1 in 5 report anxiety. I know I don't want to be depressing, but this is just this is what's really happening. Okay. There was a study done at the Sage College in Troy, New York, and it suggests that time outdoors can have a positive effect on the ability for children to be better focused on schoolwork in the classroom. It also suggested that creating learning environments in schools that include time outdoors may decrease anxiety and improve the ability to learn new tasks. So they are trying to have a lot of their classes outside. Now, our Leon County Junior Master Gardeners program. I feel like this is where they're doing their part in helping with this. They're providing an opportunity for our kids to learn and be part of gardening and be outdoors. These are, y'all gonna see some people on here, y'all know. Little hands love to garden. Get these kid-sized garden, get some kid-sized gardening tools and let them plant and tend their own gardens. But don't micromanage them. Let them do it themselves, and it be their effort. Leaving them alone, and if they fail, give them feedback and let them learn to be a gardener. What do y'all see? Y'all know. So I want to thank all the master gardeners who make our Junior Master Gardener program a success. You're not only teaching the kids skills they can carry with them and letting them have fun, you're also enriching their souls. There are probably a lot of us here who have OCD personality.
Oh, really?
But sometimes we just have to let go of the reins and let them be kids. Okay. There will be weeds, there will be bugs, and there will be times when Mother Nature dictates if our plants do or do not survive. All we can do is the best we can. Our plants need us as much as we need them. Anybody know what the movie was? Nobody knows this movie? Come on!
I'm thinking The Shining.
Yes!
Okay.
What was it? The Shining.
Well, I was thinking that's not a thing I remembered. That's what it reminded me of.
That was the end.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, they need water, fertilizer, and sometimes protection from the elements. That's what we take on when we decide to become a caretaker. Caring for anything from plants to animals all the way up to another human being gives us a sense of responsibility that should give us a feeling of accomplishment, which in turn soothes our soul. Sometimes you just have to roll with it and do the best you can. In other words, what Cheryl said, garden with abandon. With no fear of the outcome, dance like nobody's watching. Humility. The Merriam-Webster version says, humility is the freedom from pride or arrogance, the quality or state of being humble. American author H. Jackson Brown Jr. said, every person that you meet knows something you don't. Learn from them. And I have learned that really quick when I became a master gardener.
Didn't we all?
English poet Alfred Austin said, there is no gardening without humility. Nature is constantly sending even its oldest scholars to the bottom of the class for some gracious blunder. Yes, I had to learn how to say that word. Okay, here's where I'm going to talk about me a little bit. I learned several lessons in humility in the garden as a child, helping my grandmother in her amazing garden. She could grow anything. She just looked at it and it grew. Her huge garden in Jewett, sugar sand, was up on a hill. It was just sugar sand. She could grow all of this stuff, and it was just beautiful. I couldn't, I'm not gonna lie. I cannot grow strawberries to save my life. Who can grow strawberries? Okay, I need some help. But she had everything. These giant blackberries she had. Okay, wait, she's not here. We sell, what are they called? Brazos berries, and they're supposed to be giant Brazos berries at Bobo's. They're not giant Brazos berries. That's what she had, and they were huge. They were so big. And I wish I could get my hands on them, but that's not what they are. But I'm going to try a version, the Natchez, I think. Those are the thornless, but they're supposed to be really big. I'm going to try those this year. Fix to dig up all those other ones and burn them.
Failure in learning from it.
Yeah, and they spread pretty bad too. And I learned, okay, blanching, let me tell y'all what I learned as a child, because I didn't have a choice. We had to get up in the morning and go to the pea patch in the dark, pick peas up. Everybody knows when people from the country. And my grandmother blanched peas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they taste so much better, but it's just so much work.
Yeah, I always blame.
Yeah, you'd have to look them, you know, and then, after you shelled them, you had to look them, and then you blanched them, and she was a perfectionist, had to be just so many. We didn't have Ziploc bags then, no. It was the tiny twist, you know, and time, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that was fun. I learned a lot when I was a child, because I didn't have a choice. But I appreciate it. But right now I look back on it and I remember feeling that my grandparents and parents might have been breaking a lot of child labor laws.
Is that you in the garden?
That's about what it looked like. Yeah, we didn't have much of a choice. But it was also nourishing my soul. I wish my people were still alive so that I could tell them what a great gift they gave me. When I sat down to eat a meal when I was a kid, I felt so accomplished that I had a part in doing that. And a sense of pride and being humbled of being able to put food on the table. I'm like, I did that, and I'm just a little kid. But as an adult, I garden and attempt to have a landscape yard. But even working at Bobo's, you don't have time. And becoming a master gardener has taught me so many lessons in humility. Compared to most of our members, I know nothing. I am always ready to learn. Gratitude, positive emotion that involves being thankful and appreciative and is associated with several mental and physical health benefits. We all take so many things for granted in our lives, that not because we're necessarily bad people. I think it's just because we get so caught up in our day-to-day lives that we miss the little things, the things that really matter. When you experience the fruits of your labor in the garden emerge like one perfect tomato or an abundance of peppers, there's nothing more gratifying to me. I am so grateful for so many people in my life, past, present, and hopefully future. Thank you all for being a part of my life. Take time to smell the roses. Get your hands dirty. Watch a plant grow. Feel the grass under your bare feet. This is what it's all about, people, my friends. Gardening is good for your soul.
Thank you.